Broadcasting live from the Simic Guildgate, specifically the underwater one by Adam Paquette. On the plane of Ravnica, this is Tap Tap Concede. Welcome, everybody. I'm Graham.
I'm Cameron.
And I'm Nelson the Fish.
Yes. Thank you for joining us on land.
Theming it up.
Yeah. We decided that was the best Simic Guildgate. I quite like
I
the
like
other one
it.
as well, but
Yeah.
this is very nice.
I mean, this one also has the really intimidating flavor text from Zagana, being like, "Don't worry, I'll be watching you."
Oh,
Ex-Prime Speaker Zagana has to say.
good.
Yeah.
That is creepy. Yeah.
Yeah, like worst kind of boss.
Yeah, if you're
Don't worry, you're in charge now. But if you ever make a mistake, I'll kill you.
Yeah, if you're just listening, the flavor text on this Guildgate is, "When the Prime Speaker goes too far, I will be here in the safety of the deeps to correct her." Attributed to Zagana.
Yeah. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about the update as of this morning on day of recording of the Mythic Invitational at PAX East, because we're recording this on Thursday, January 31st, literally the last day that Wizards could have told us about it. And so we'll be talking about that. Before that, of course, we're going to crack a pack. And before that, a reminder that this show is brought to you by Card Kingdom. Check out cardkingdom.com/LRR. That puts our affiliate code on there, lets them know that we sent you over there. We do that because we think they're great. You've heard me say it a bunch. They have great customer service. Their shipping is amazing. They are terrific. And of course, this show and everything we do is brought to you by you on our Patreon at patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. All right, let's crack it back. Let's do it. Who wants to roll it?
You.
Okay.
You never get to
It's
roll.
your turn.
Oh, yeah.
I'll count. Here we go. There
Goodbye.
it goes. I can still
Run
see
away.
it.
Run free.
Goodbye, sweet dice.
12.
Where do you start here usually?
Either
There.
end.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11. Busy work over.
Oh, this is from Morton, was he sent to us during mail time, and this is 10th edition.
Ooh.
10th edition,
Interesting.
exciting and interesting set. 10th edition, the death of white borders.
Ooh, yeah.
Because 9th edition
right.
included white borders, and they haven't printed any white border cards since 9th. I was really excited when this happened in 10th edition, and now I look back and think, they were right, all those weird immediate naysayers who were like, pretty soon these white border cards are going to be scarce and in demand, and people are going to want them. And I was like, no, it'll never happen. Because I also remember when Revised came out.
Really?
and I was like,
People
ew.
still want them?
There's like a white border revival now.
There are
Because
dozens
they've
of
gotten
them.
scarce. Well, yeah, exactly. There's many of them. They can get them, but.
Fair enough. No, I mean the people. This is like,
Oh yeah, there are dozens of
us.
revivalists. Yeah.
Yeah.
We are several. Yeah, exactly.
Unrelated, Massive Ghouls is the first card. 3 black for a 5/3 zombie warrior. That's it.
That's it.
I misheard mass of ghouls as massive,
Massive
ghouls.
Massive ghouls.
Just massive ghouls.
And then you misheard it even
Size.
further as massive girls, and then we were just like, B movie, 40-foot tall woman, let's do this.
Perfect. Size of these ghouls. No, they're just a 5/3. They're all right, I suppose. Spitting Earth. 1 and a red for a sorcery. Spitting Earth deals damage equal to the number of mountains you control to target creature. Oh.
Flame Slash just tears this card apart, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad how much worse than Flame Slash you are Spitting Earth. But your art is sweet.
It's got a higher potential payoff.
Yeah, for sure. You could kill a Baneslayer Angel with this if you have 5 mountains. No problem.
Loxodon Mystic. 3/3 Elephant Cleric for 3 white. And for white and tap target creature. Usually tappers are smaller
Yeah,
than
because this is the
Yeah.
body you want on your activated ability creature. You
Yeah,
ideally would like to
absolutely.
pay 5 and get kind of mediocre stats. Why isn't my Master Decoy cost 5?
Avon Fisher is a 2/2 bird soldier for 3 and a blue with flying. When it's put into a graveyard from play, you draw a card.
Hey, we hit a limited playable. How about that?
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Dice
yeah.
draw a card? Sure. Why not?
Now look how good he is at fishing.
How about a green piker? Rushwood Dryad, 1 and a green for a 2/1 with Forest Walk.
Dece.
They don't do that anymore.
They don't.
They don't do any kind of land walks.
You have to
anymore.
be, now it's 2 for a 2/1 merfolk that can only be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. something like that.
Oh, yeah.
There's like better Skulk on that Rivals of Ixalan guy from the most recent ranked season before the
Deep
one
Root
now.
Warrior?
Yeah, no, Deeper Warrior gets
That was
bigger.
the
Bushido,
two.
I
yeah.
can't remember what this sneaky, skulky green creature from Rivals of Ixalan is
But
called.
yeah, it was a
But I drafted one.
it was a
or
2-mana
killed
2/1. Yeah, it can't be blocked by small things.
Or both.
Interesting. Fear.
Oh, just the enchantment, Fear.
Black for a creature enchantment.
2 mana.
Enchanted creature has fear.
What
This
great
is,
art.
This is definitely one they just kept around for nostalgia, right?
Yeah.
Like, why did Fear get printed?
So fear is it can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or black creatures.
Oh, right. This is also the last set where they were like, nobody plays Car Set Limited, it doesn't matter. Because this is set before M10. They came out when they told us about M10, being like, we're not doing so many reprints for Magic 2010 core set, and we're going to care more about the limited playability of the core sets. And so it's going to include new cards for that reason. Cards that aren't Fear, for example.
Like,
Because
sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say originally there was only fear, and then they changed it to intimidate and put it into every color, right?
Just
so
about,
like if a red creature has intimidate, it can only be blocked by artifact
Oh, you're
creatures
right, yeah,
and or red creatures. Intimidate shares a color with the creature. Fear was only black creatures.
Or artifact creatures.
Yes, so you could put this on a white creature, and the white creature could only be blocked by artifacts or black creatures.
Yeah.
Which was weird.
I like how this has reminder text for what an aura is.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I guess it is the core set.
They gave you more reminder text in core set, that's right. Yeah. Still do, I think, yeah.
Goblin Sky Raider is a overcosted Stormcrow.
Or even an overcosted Rustwing Falcon if you want.
Yeah, so it's 2 and a red for a 1/2 Goblin Warrior with flying.
Yeah.
I guess it's got more relevant subtypes than bird, but still.
I guess this is where we say,
If you
they
insist.
finally balanced Stormcrow.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Speaking of cheap flyers, Suntail Hawk,
Yep.
1 mana, 1/1 flyer.
In case you want to win
That's
races
it.
against things like
How many
Goblin
claws does
Sky.
this thing have?
At least 3. I think it's supposed to have 4.
maybe one is kind of like out of the picture.
Oh yeah. You
What
see
is
it.
going
It's
on with
it's
that?
way at the back.
Okay.
It's like behind the other one. So yeah, it's got 4 claws. That's
Okay.
odd.
So this is a 6-limbed hawk.
Yes.
Why? Why did you make me notice this? Everything was okay in my world.
You're like,
I
it's
was just
a normal
enjoying my
bird.
day, and then all of a sudden this bird turned into a crazy monster
You're
for
like,
no
it's-
reason.
it's just
Have you ever
a
seen a
tiny bird.
pigeon on the street? Are they like,
yeah. And then they're like a freaking dragon, right? They've
Yeah.
got like
They-
2 sets of claws.
yeah, they're just like smoking a cigarette with their front claws.
They're walking and
Yeah,
they're
on the
smoking and they're
phone.
on their phone. Exactly. Oh yeah,
No,
in
this
profile.
Is consistent for
previous
Suntail
printing,
hawks.
yeah.
I've never seen that before.
Suntail hawks have 2 sets of claws, y'all, and it's not okay.
No, it's not. I've never seen that before.
This makes all those pictures that I've seen of like people quickly altering various hawks in Magic to be carrying swords to make more sense though.
This
There's that.
This art, if you're listening, we're looking at the 8th edition art for Suntail Hawk. This one looks like they had the wings and the claws and the tail of a bird and lost the body, and someone was like, I have pieces of a fox lying around. Do we have a second set of claws? Yeah? Great. Hang on, give me some glue. I got this.
All right, Magic art directors, we're calling you out. Is there a story behind Suntail Hawk, or was the theme just
This is the same artist.
Yeah, Heather Hudson.
Okay, Heather, and your art director, whoever they were, was the idea that there were supposed to be extra claws?
I mean, it
Let
must
us
have
know.
been.
Let us know. We want to know.
Lava Axe is next. Ever classic Lava Axe.
Catch.
Catch. Yep. 4 and a red for a sorcery. Deals 5 to target player. Earth Elemental. 3 red for a 4/5 elemental at uncommon.
Best stats we've seen so far.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
5
what that
mana,
is.
4/5. That's fine.
Condemn. Single white mana for an instant. Put target attacking creature on the bottom of its owner's library. Its controller gains life equal to its toughness.
Good against Death Shadow.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is like what you play when we were still talking about the Strictly Worse cube.
Oh yeah.
This is one of the cards that Alex and I were like, strictly worse than swords,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
That
Only
makes
targets
sense.
attacking creatures.
Yeah, but like, this was the kind of thing we were thinking of.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, this is like swords for the modern era. We want to fix swords. We want to make swords okay for standard. Moving on to Persuasion, maybe?
Yes, indeedy.
Great.
3 blue for an enchantment you control, enchanted creature. Whoa.
It's control
just,
magic.
It's just mind control, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually mind control. They printed mind control in M10 because I think they wanted to flex that they were allowed to print new cards in core sets, and also maybe they just felt like mind control feels more like Jace is doing it than Persuasion.
Yeah.
Persuasion, for some reason, the theme is like, yeah, we're paying you off, or we're like making good friends with you, as opposed to like mind control. The theme is like, I'm magically just controlling you now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like a little person who is pushing your gears, you know, pulling your levers. Yeah.
The mountain is actually from Ravnica, which is interesting. I don't think it'll show up on the thing. It's not the one that you're seeing on screen. We have a foil. Foil uncommon, which is Lure. 1 green for a creature enchantment. All creatures able to block it do so.
This and Fear, both auras from beta.
Might just win you the game. And the rare is Bloodfire Colossus. 6 red for a 6/6 giant. 8 mana for a 6/6 giant. For 1 red mana and sacrifice it, it deals 6 damage to each creature and each player.
Huh.
It's a pretty cool card.
Yeah. I can't tell.
I think we're on Condemn or Avenfisher, though. I don't know. Earth Elemental and Persuasion. Actually, maybe it's just Persuasion. Mind Control is probably the best bomb.
Yeah, the only other blue
I guess
card.
you can't pick Avenfisher over Persuasion.
Nah.
And there's no real reason to pick Condemn. There's a bunch of playable red cards. So like, there's 5 red cards in this pack.
Yeah.
So you probably feel pretty good taking the Mind Control.
Yeah, I like that. I would take the Persuasion.
We should talk about this Tips and Tricks card.
Yeah,
this is the
Tips and
thing they
Tricks.
used to do before there were just always tokens in the packs. I don't know why it took them so long to figure out that Magic players like creature token cards.
So there's an ad for Lorwyn,
Yeah.
a new world for Magic the Gathering in stores October 12th, 2007.
There you go.
And the Tips and Tricks is the Gatherer card database.
Learn all about it.
Gatherer is a perfect tool to help you build decks. If you're making a Goblin deck, you can search Gatherer for cards with the word Goblin on them. Wow, is that what Gatherer used to look like? That is not attractive.
It certainly looks better now.
Yeah.
I can remember actually in that Gatherer looking at all of Lorwyn once it was spoiled. It's funny that Lorwyn's the set I remember going through.
okay?
You're right. What's wrong?
I looked at the card, saw the art was small,
Yeah.
and did the pinch to expand it.
That's like, so our kids, like kids our age, like when they go and they see like, you know, a plaque or something, like anything flat that could resemble like an LCD touchscreen.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll do that. Like I got a friend of mine, who, her 3-year-old was at the museum with us, and he was just like looking at the little like information underneath the tiny, you know, pieces of art or ancient artifacts on display, and he was just like, "Mommy, this iPad doesn't work."
Right.
Like he's just trying to swipe to see the next thing or whatever.
Yeah, like I want to click on the name to
Yeah,
go to
yeah.
the hyperlink,
I want
right?
I want this to expand. Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to learn more. It's just writing. It's like, no. Sorry.
It's the future.
Yep.
Which is a great time to unveil a totally new standard format.
Smooth as butter.
The format's so nice, they have it twice.
Or 3 times maybe.
You register your deck twice, is really what happens. Okay, so, the Mythic Invitational. It's a $1 million prize pool for an invitational event happening at PAX East, which is in just under 2 months.
That's coming up soon.
Oh yeah.
PAX East is in Boston?
Yep.
That's right.
And people were getting a little, we will be there by the way, people were getting a little
Worried.
antsy that
Concerned.
it was like, we're having this big invitational event.
Mutinous?
And, I mean, that sounds like the community, yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody knew how to get to go to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's playing?
And
Yeah,
they,
it's like we need to book flights if we're going,
and
right?
Wizard said that they would tell us in January, and it's the morning of Thursday,
When
January
you're watching
31st.
this, it's like February 4th, but
Yeah.
right now it's January. Back in time through the internet.
You know, they handed it in to their professor as
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
getting into their car.
yeah, they got to class like, so I don't have it, but can I email it to you for midnight? Right?
It's-
And they were like, this one time.
In fact, it's probably also relevant. It is 1:46 Pacific time.
I think the
And
article might have
article went
said
up
that
at-
it might be tomorrow where you are, where you're reading it.
Maybe. The article went up at 10 a.m.
Yeah, it was 10 a.m.
Yeah, and so...
Blake had
you
to
know,
tweet about it. Blake tweeted at 8 a.m. Hey, it's going up at 10 a.m. Hope Blake's getting paid enough this year.
So I mention that because it's only been, it's been under 4 hours. So the hot take machine has only had some amount of time to whip itself into a frenzy. So information may differ or opinions may shift between recording and when you're hearing it, but we can tell you the facts at least. So it's a 64-player tournament with $1 million prize pool. Top prize, $250,000. It pays out to all the way to last place at $7,500. So you get $7,500 just for being
Showing
part
up.
of it.
Hopefully that'll pay your flight and hotel.
So that's
if not,
I mean, it certainly.
Live cheaper.
I guess if you, I guess if you're from Europe, maybe it wouldn't. But if you live in North America, that will more than cover your flight and hotel to Boston.
Right.
So that's pretty sweet. But who are the 64 players? They've called it an invitational. This is not a Mythic Championship. They said it was an invitational. This is a spectacle event. So, who participates? Well, half the field is the 32 players of the Magic Pro League.
What's that again?
The Magic, right? I'm sure we've talked
How
about that.
How deep can we go down the rhetorical question hole?
The Magic Pro League is a league of 32 players that Wizards. Basically, Wizards has introduced that they are finally directly from them supporting a league of pro level Magic players.
Oh, and how long has this Pro League been around?
Like a month.
Okay.
Like they announced it.
So have they had their first event or anything yet?
No.
Right. So this might be the unveiling of the Magic Pro League
might
as an
be.
entity.
Yeah. Now we know who's in it. Basically, it was like they looked at the top 32 currently ranked players in the world, and some people didn't want to sign on. I'll get to that in a second. Some people couldn't, and so they then they picked a couple people to fill in sort of the ranks, and so you have 32 players. At minimum, those 32 players have all signed on to be professional Magic players for $50,000 a year.
Okay.
And some of them, I believe actually all of them might, I don't know. Some number of them, potentially all, were also offered an additional $25,000 a year for a content creation aspect.
Right.
And definitely,
Contract of some kind.
yeah, definitely not all of them signed on for that.
Okay.
But the people who did, you'll be seeing them stream. You'll be seeing them stream a lot on the Wizards channel. I think they're going to have tournaments amongst themselves. I'm not sure. Honestly, they haven't explained that yet.
We'll see.
So all 32 of them are in the field. Then there are 24 invites, like people that Wizards has just selected based on criteria that is completely obfuscated to us. And then 8 people who can earn their way in by being the top ranked constructed players on Magic Arena, which
At noon on the last day of the month.
on last day of February.
Last day of February.
Yeah.
Yeah. So February
we-
28th at noon, right?
And we knew that it would involve Arena. That was sort of the whole thing. The whole push. That's not a surprise, or at least it shouldn't be. So yeah, that's that situation. I already mentioned the sort of roughly the prize structure. The tournament structure itself is a little odd because it's sort of like they play in like double elimination flights.
And will they be playing with paper cards at PAX East?
I think it's being played on Arena.
I think
Is
it's
that
going to be
correct?
played entirely on Magic Arena, but
Yeah.
like in person on at computer tournaments
Yeah.
there. That's the impression I get. I didn't read that, but
Using the LAN setup, probably.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's going to look a little bit like some other digital-only in-person tournaments, in case you have seen any of those. For example, the Hearthstone Invitationals.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they have like a lounge that it's happening in, like maybe a room.
Presumably.
Yeah,
Some
where like
sort
the
of-
casters are just like
some
10
sort of
feet away
set.
from the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then everyone will have cameras right on their faces and also right on their feeds of their
Yeah.
video game. Yeah.
And so obviously there's a lot of people who have been talking about the invites. That's always been a thing that the Magic community has had issues with when people, like even when it was the Pro Tour and like one person got a special invite, that upset lots of people. And so the fact that we don't know the selection process, and I don't think we ever will, has been annoying to some people, and the fact that some people were invited and other people weren't has been a problem for some people. I actually tweeted this morning, I was like, here's my reasonable take. It's okay to be upset that certain streamers didn't get invited, but don't crap on the people that did. It's like, if Wizards came to me and was like, hey, do you want to be in this invitational? I'm not going to be like, I think you should invite Caleb Durwald. I'm going to be like, I'll take $7,500, sure. Because also, I doubt that they knew. I doubt these people knew the other people that were even being invited.
Right, or assumed, or
Exactly.
couldn't really know. Yeah. Yeah, crapping on someone for getting a nice thing is always usually pretty shitty. You should
Yeah.
try to be
Yeah.
happy for people when they get nice things.
Yeah.
And it's okay, too, to be sad when you don't get nice things, or the people you wanted to have
Yeah.
nice things will get them.
So it does, however, this is now moving into the realm of Graham's opinion. It does seem like this event is sort of going to end up being the Magic Pro League totally dumpsters a bunch of streamers. Like, some of the streamers are very good. One of them won a Pro Tour.
That's right. Andrew Ellenbogen is invited as a streamer. I
Like-
haven't watched his stream at all yet.
And like a bunch of people on that list are people that I know and are no slouches when
Yeah.
it comes to playing constructed.
But
But also, it's the 32 best players in the
Right,
world are
yeah.
the other half of the field. So it's not that it's like, it's not being divided that way. It's not like it's literally the MPL versus the streamers.
Right,
in
but
some
on
sort
day
of-
2, do you expect to see many of these streamers?
yeah, or is it just going to be like
Sure, if
Dirty
there's a
Harry,
pod-
where
Right.
like a Pro Tour player is just calmly eating a sandwich with one hand while with the other hand?
Yeah.
Well, actually, sorry, yeah, you mentioned that it's not just round 1 is you're a streamer and you're playing against the MPL. So the format, it's 64 players. It divides into 4 pods of 16, and then they play a double limb bracket to get down to 4. So is double a limb, is it the same as 4-round Swiss? Something like that. However many, maybe it's like a 5th round kind of. I think double limb doesn't make you play as many matches total, because it's like people get through faster, so they don't have to play another match once they're 3-0 and stuff like that. Anyways, if these 4 pods are random, then there's a chance that just like one of them is half the MPL and one of them is all streamers.
Yeah.
In which case you have guaranteed streamers still playing on Saturday.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So if that's the way it works, then
Which I assume is the case. But like...
they haven't told
you
us,
know,
I don't think, how they're seeding the pods.
Yeah.
Maybe they did. I read
Yeah.
a lot of articles.
And
this
I don't
morning.
want to be clear, we are Magic streamers, right? And so I'm not trying to be like, Magic streamers aren't as good at Magic, but I mean, at a certain level, they're the pros. They're the Magic
They're
Pro
supposed
League.
to.
Right?
Yeah.
We've never won a Pro Tour.
Exactly, right? Like these are the, I mean,
Certainly the MPL is supposed to win this thing.
yeah, amusingly also in the streamer block is LSV.
Right.
Because of course he
Multiple Pro Tour champions.
presumably because of his job was not able to or did not want to sign on to be a Magic Pro League.
Didn't want to take the massive pay cut.
I
of-
have to assume, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So because he works at Direwolf Digital on
Right.
on the Eternal game, right? So, but yeah, it's entertaining that LSV is technically one of the invitees, not one of the
MPL
not one of
players.
the MPL because he's not in the MPL.
Right.
So let's talk about. I mentioned that.
And actually, so is Andrew Ellenbogen, and the two of them were in the most recent Pro Tour top 8. So, yeah.
yeah, there's that. So, but let's talk about the format.
Yes. Let's.
Because the format is actually the thing that is very easy to get mad that like Caleb didn't get invited to the invite part or whatever. And again, we don't know why. But the format is the thing that confuses me the most. So there has been ongoing consternation between Wizards and the community about Arena in the specifics of best of 3 versus best of 1. Because a lot of people feel that best of 3 is a really important part of like an inherent part of professional Magic. That you play your deck and then you sideboard and you do the best of 3. And a lot of Magic Arena seems to be pushing towards best of 1. And so the format of the Mythic Invitational it's like a best of 3 match comprised of best of 1 games. Let me explain what it is. It's called Duo Standard, and every player registers 2 standard decks. They can be identical. They can be as identical or different as possible, but 2 standard decks. There is no sideboarding. Your deck can have a sideboard if you're running like Mastermind's Acquisition that you need to go get something from your sideboard, but there is no sideboarding. So if you're running Mono Red Burn, you probably won't have a sideboard. And then the way it works is, say that Cameron and Nelson are the players. Game 1, one of them randomly goes first, and each of them randomly plays one of the 2 decks they submitted. Game 2, the other player goes first. Not necessarily the winner or the loser, just the player that didn't go first in Game 1 goes first, and both players play the deck they didn't play in Game 1. Then, if it is necessary to go to a Game 3, Both players get to choose which of their 2 decks they want to play, and it is still randomly decided who goes first.
I believe I said, what an interesting and convoluted solution to a problem we had already solved.
That would. Oh yeah, you said
or
interesting solution to a problem Magic didn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Sometimes we talk about what we're going to talk about before we get here.
Yeah.
And sometimes the gems are right there, right? Yeah.
It's just such a very odd.
yeah.
Let's unpack it and talk about the format first.
Please.
So the card selection and strategy behind it. So if you're a huge fan of Best of One, you can still basically play Best of One, right?
Yeah.
You can play 2 of the exact same deck, and then you can go up against a deck like when you queue up to play the January preseason. I think all the ranked constructed was Best of One. I don't know. I've only been drafting Plain Sealed actually, but from what I've taken in, next season I think you're going to get to play Best of 3 to play ranked. But for now, it's just like you only play Best of One. So if you put in 2 of the same deck, then you know what deck you're going to play when you play, and then you're going to play against some deck. You'll finish that game, and then if you queue it up again, you again play against some deck. It might be the same one, it might not, because your opponent has these same choices. And then if you manage to queue twice in a row and go 1-1 in your Best of One constructed grinding, then in your 3rd game, weirdly now it's different. You have to pick your deck if you didn't assign the same deck twice, and then again, you have no control once again over who goes first or second.
Yeah,
Just play one more game. So it's almost the same as playing Best of It. It's like it has Best of One inside of it. It's something that's like you can take the Best of One format and like nestle all of Best of One inside Duo Standard.
Yeah.
And then now if you want to do something different than Best of One, but you think Best of One is great, you have these other options.
Yeah, it's like, when you describe it like that, because you aren't actually getting up and moving to another table. Like, there's not the discrete physicality of matches, right? So it feels like, okay, I play a game, then I play a game with a different deck, or maybe not. And then every once in a while, I'll play a game where I make a decision about where I have another decision beforehand.
It's like you know how Arena lays out their tournaments where there's like visually the play screen that there's like 7 wins and 3 losses, right, for
an event,
Best of One draft, right, where it's like you play until you either get 7 wins or 3 losses, right? This is like 2 and 2. You play until you either get 2 wins or 2 losses, but you're playing Best of One games.
Like, I would love to know what the internal process was behind this. Where,
I'm fascinated by this. I think it's very weird.
I imagine there's a branch within competitive play that's like, look, our data says Best of One is the way to go.
Probably.
Right? And like, we have to do this, right? Or there's some kind of lobbying body within WotC, which is like, no, Best of One, period.
Yeah.
Right? Whether that's from on high or from like data-driven stuff or whatever. But like,
I don't like it.
no,
Like,
I'm not a fan of it either.
To be clear, I may have sounded like I was sort of being defensive of it. I'm just trying to explain it.
Right.
And, like you say, like they probably have metrics and data and stuff. And people like to say that, right? Like people like to say things like, well, they obviously have all these data, so, I guess they're making the right decisions. Like, no, they can have the data and make a decision that I still don't like.
Yeah, like, or it's entirely possible that they don't.
Yeah.
Right? Like, having worked large corporate jobs, on the outside, you assume that they're making rational decisions based on best available information. But frequently, there's just some old person who has a very important job who's like, no.
What bugs me about Duo Standard is that it feels
That's
like
my new
such
image
a,
for God now.
Yeah. Just
Someone who doesn't really know and care.
It feels like such a weird medium. But like there was already this sort of philosophical divide between whether Best of 3 or Best of 1 was a way to take things, and this is like it's the worst of both, kind of, because it's like you don't get the sideboarding and the strategy of how a Best of 3 works, but you still have to play 2 or 3 games to settle a match.
Yeah, I figured it out, actually. Sorry, what I was just saying before about how it's similar to just queuing up 3 times in a row on a Best of 1, ladder. It's not, because it's like you only get to do deck selection every 3rd game.
Yeah.
right? Or every fourth game, right? It's like, so, or it's the third or fourth game, because if you're actually just laddering, say you have 4 of every card in standard and like 50 decks built or whatever, you can like play a game with a deck and be like, oh, that sucked, I'm gonna switch decks. And like, you kind of get to do this if you go into your duo standard match knowing that you're going to want to switch decks.
Yeah.
But like, if you're like, you just have to decide, right? You have to like commit to being like, I'm gonna switch decks or not after game 1, no matter how it goes, right? And you can either like load up 2 of the same deck, or you can load up 2 decks. And then you're just like beholden to switching and then also seeing whether or not that worked out for you, depending on what your opponent does.
And-
but whereas best of 1, you just have the complete freedom, right? Like, you're just like, oh, this deck's great. I'm just going to keep jamming like 100 games with this deck, or I'll play 10 different decks a night on best of 1.
Well, like this reminds me a lot of a solution for a problem that when I played miniature games, there were multiple tournaments, like for War Machine and for Warhammer, where the tournament rules was that each player had to bring 2 army lists.
Oh, that's so many miniatures.
It's just, there's so much painting and expensive. But you would have the choice for your match, because Warhammer tournaments or miniature tournaments are typically best of 1, because not everyone has 3 hours.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
How did that work? Did you get to know what your opponent was playing first, or did you both choose blind?
See each other's
don't even
lists and
remember.
then
This
pick
was, like,
blind or something? Yeah.
10 years ago when I played it. But yeah, like having 2 lists is not an unusual thing in some games.
Right.
But like, you don't. It's not like you have your Nexus Turbo Fog list and then your Nexus Turbo Fog list with the sideboard against Nexus Turbo Fog.
Yeah.
Right.
That you can choose between. Like, I'm curious to see what people's strategies are.
I mean,
right?
with this being
Because,
on
like,
Arena, I assume that what will happen if it goes to a game 3 where you get to pick is that you just make you're in the dark. You make your pick, and then you don't know until the game begins what your opponent picked.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's no way to sort of.
Yeah.
It's a crapshoot, right?
just-
Like,
I
if
mean,
your deck,
yeah.
say if you have a deck that is great against theirs, but completely folds against the other one, you know, you're like, well, I'm taking this one, and I have to hope that they're on the other one and not this one.
Yeah.
Right.
And then
There's all this
Yeah,
double
I-
weaseling, right? Like if
Yeah.
you won a really close game and then lost a really not close game, you probably want to bring the deck that won. Like maybe oftentimes you'll bring the deck that won, but then if you're expecting your opponent to do the same thing, you have to like consider, oh, okay, well, what's the matchup that we haven't played like?
Yeah,
Right?
like I imagine this is going to be a very interesting, like, prisoner's dilemma kind of problem.
It's possible to love it too. We're just hearing about it now.
Yeah, with a lot of interesting viewing,
Right,
Where
right.
we as viewers will be like, oh, this is quite interesting, and the people actually playing are like, there's $1 million on the line,
if I can,
right?
Yeah.
You know, if I pick my mono red deck that's 70-30, right, against their deck, or is 30-70 against their other deck,
Right.
do I just punt $50,000 here?
If I can crib something from something Ben said when he and I were discussing this earlier this morning, is that I think that the reason that people are very vocally angry about this sort of thing and about the best of 1, best of 3 is because we heard about this big push to esports and saw this announcement and all the money and sort of marketing strength that Wizards was putting behind like Magic as an esport, and we got excited because we wanted to see the game that we love and that we know is excellent and that has survived for 25 years being treated on the same level and with the same kind of budget and care as other esport level things like Hearthstone. Not to have Magic be altered into what someone's idea of, quote, an esport should look like.
Yeah.
And I really worry that that's what this is.
Yeah, it feels like, there's definitely the argument that you could say, like, this really feels like whoever's running this tournament does not have a lot of faith in Magic the Gathering as an esport. Whereas, I mean, it doesn't have a huge audience, but it's a great game.
Yeah.
And it works. Like, it works.
Yes.
We don't know whether this works or not. Like, this could just be a complete disaster. Right?
It's a weird format they're putting $1
Yeah.
million into.
I'm skeptical, and I'm like right there with you. However, I do want to get in now and say, almost every announcement, there's at least some vocal proportion of the community that's just like the sky is falling.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah,
most
yeah.
of the time we end up really liking it, you know, and there's a bunch of good examples. Like damage on the stack. Like some of us maybe actually still miss damage on the stack or
Yeah.
actually miss mana burn.
I mean,
you
there's-
know,
well,
but like
I mean,
most
There's a
most
sign.
of these
There's
things,
a
like-
sign somewhere that's like it has been 0 days since Mark Rosewater has killed Magic the Gathering or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's always
Exactly.
Mark, even though these are obviously not his decisions. But like there's always the changes that they make that are like, well, this is it. This will be the one that kills Magic. Obviously, I don't think this is going to kill Magic. I just don't. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't understand why. That's
I'm-
the thing. I don't see this as being necessary.
I'm really
Yeah.
curious how this podcast is going to age actually thinking about it because we're obviously going to play this format. We're going to play
yeah.
Duo Standard. Cam and Graham and I are going to be able to look back to the end of January podcast and say like, huh, they were right, or this is the new best thing ever. Like
Yeah,
that's
it's like-
possible.
Maybe this is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
'Cause-
I'm just skeptical eyebrow.
Yeah. For
So
sure.
are they bringing Duo Standard to Arena?
So there were two articles up in the mothership today. One of them details the
Mythic
things we've
Invitational.
talked about in the Mythic Invitational and a few more. And then the other one is like this weird, long, rambling interview of Aaron Forsyth and Chris Clay, wherein they let us know that they're working on a best of 3 format that includes a variety of decks. But they don't just like spell it out and mention or like give a link to the Duo Standard. So it's like maybe Duo Standard won't come to Magic Arena for the rest of us. Maybe it's going to morph into something else after they take the data from viewers at PAX East and they're going to do a different kind of
That article,
thing.
and
yeah, I don't know.
I don't think
They don't spell it out.
I don't think they listen to this podcast. I quite like Aaron.
Oh, yeah,
we've,
Aaron's great.
We've
We've had him on
personally hung
PPR.
out at like PAX or whatever. He was here for PPR.
Aaron's great.
I don't know Chris Clay very well.
Okay.
If,
He's probably great,
if
too.
at all. I don't know if I've actually met him. But that article was an awful lot of words to say very little.
Yeah, no, they definitely wanted to impress upon us that paper Magic is still here.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of, like, there's so much push for Arena happening this
Mm-hmm.
year that, like, naturally a lot of people are going to be like, oh, hey, are like, Magic tournaments still happening? Like, I know them.
Yeah.
And, like, they really wanted everyone to know that, like, Arena is supposed to support paper Magic. Paper Magic's here to stay.
Yeah.
And so that's clear and great to hear. And
I mean,
I think
if they're still supporting Mitgo,
Yeah,
most,
like,
honestly, most sane actors and most like sane voices haven't really been worried about that, right?
Yeah,
It's
I mean, they
from
came out with a
Wizards-
huge new product. They want to push it and,
Yeah.
and support it.
trying to
right?
think of like the idea of shutting down paper Magic from Wizards' point of view seems pretty weird, right?
Yeah.
Like that probably shouldn't happen. That probably shouldn't be something they want. They just really want to push this other thing. So they said that in a lot of words, and then they also like tried to let us know what's happening for the future of Arena. And yeah, I think the Mythic Invitational gives you more clues. So I think it's likely that Duo Standard will just come to Magic Arena for everyone.
weird.
Because why else would they want this $1 million tournament being viewed, right? If not to get people excited to play the same format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even though they didn't say it right away in the Arena and article, they didn't say like, you will get to play Duo Standard, person reading this. I think we can probably read between the lines and say like,
Yeah, that makes
likely
sense.
we will all get to play Duo Standard. If not, the choice to only have these people playing Duo Standard for minimum $7.5 seems strange. Not that there aren't a bunch of other strange choices being made on the PAX East weekend, but if it turns out we don't even get to play Duo Standard at home after watching a weekend of Duo Standard,
Yeah. But I mean,
I think it's going to
again,
age well that I said that was a dumb idea.
Duo Standard is just trying to replicate it's trying to make a tournament actionable replication of the best of one, which is the ranked
Right.
format on Arena. And so it's like
I mean,
know.
they also said that it's double a limb, so you'd think that like maybe just playing best of one double a limb could do that too. Although it makes for a faster event.
yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, we're all just scratching our heads over here.
Yeah. What a strange format.
Because, I mean, best of one works fine on Arena when, to be clear, I quite like playing Arena best of one. I quite like playing Arena best of three. I generally only play limited, but I kind of like doing the like.
They make you do both.
Yeah, I kind of like doing the draft events where it's like, oh, I can just knock through a whole event. You know,
Yeah.
in like
35 minutes or
yeah,
something.
yeah,
right?
I quite like that.
45 if you win. Yeah.
But when you're doing that on Arena, you're doing best of 1 games, but sort of your event is like you play until 6 wins or 3 losses or something like that, right? And so you have this aggregate to work from, where it's at the end of all of these best of 1 games, you've either won so much or lost so much, and you can sort of figure that out. In a tournament, you can't. It doesn't work to be like, you can win up to 30 times, but 1 loss and you're out, right? Like that doesn't work. So that's why they have to have this sort of like quasi best of 3 safety valve, I guess, to make it work as a tournament structure with real people in a physical place for this massive prize. But then that's where you end up with this weird thing.
We talked about, okay, so yeah, let's come back to talking about this format, the Duo Standard. We talked a little bit about the shell game of picking 2 decks or not. Now let's talk about the die roll or lack thereof. So this, because this is also interesting. You're used to playing a best of 1 where you just, someone wins the die roll and the computer tells you automatically, and that person has to go first.
Yeah.
Right? Which is a little like losing the die roll occasionally. Usually it's like winning the die roll.
Yeah.
Almost always. And then in a regular best of 3 match, you can also play on Arena right now. You just go first or not in game 1, and then if you lose, you get to pick.
Yeah.
In game 2 and game 3 potentially. And that's what we're used to in all of Magic. So why do you think they departed from this?
And why is it random for game 1, the other person for game 2, and then random again for game 3?
For sure, yeah. Like, so I think I can follow the logic for random for game 1, other person for game 2. And it's that we've replicated 2 different best of 1 matches, and we're like deciding to create some fairness. Because if you lose, getting to go first or second is like trying to create some fairness, trying to even out the playing field.
But because you have to, sorry to cut you off.
That's okay.
Because you have to play one deck in game 1 and one deck in game 2. If you have a more aggressive and more controlling deck, you could, based on the die roll in game 1, you could get locked into you're now on the draw
with control
with your aggressive deck, and then on the play with your control deck.
Sure.
In the next game, whether you want to or not.
Right.
It is like the edge to be gained by playing or drawing is not massive, but it's something, and it just seems weird that like both of these matches, that gets decided by the random die roll at the beginning of the first game.
Yeah, exactly. What Magic really needed more of was RNG, right? Like that.
Right.
Yeah, it's just so.
I was gonna say though, I can kind of follow so it's best of 1, you have no control over it, and then it's best of 1, you have no control over it for the first 2 games. But then in the third game, the game where you choose which deck to put forward, I'm surprised that it's random versus the loser of game 2 doesn't get to pick. But
probably because you get to pick your decks, right? And so it's like, well, if I know I'm going to be playing first, then I'm going to use this deck.
Is that a bad thing?
I don't know. I assume
if you know you're going to be playing second, you get the same kind of advantage.
I don't know if it's good
there.
or not. I assume that's why they did that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Anyways, I think both of the like changing how the die roll works and the introduction of the like random deck decision they're both just like head scratchers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
so maybe it's a beautiful marriage. Maybe they're just like going to go together great. We're going to love both of them.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. So they've told us, I think, that in February preseason for grinding up to make it into the top 8 spots for this Mythic Invitational, you'll get to play best of 1 or best of 3. And I presume or assume that there's just going to be a ranked standard best of 3 ladder. That's like a normal best of 3 where you just like play with a sideboard and you pick if you go first or second after you lose game 1.
I'm curious also how the ladder works.
Right.
Like if you very quickly, if you like get on a hot streak, maybe you're on at a time when there's different people online or something, I don't know, and you get yourself up and you're in the top 8 players. Do you just stop?
I think maybe, but I also don't know how it works.
Can you get knocked out?
So I'm friends with someone who was number 1 on Mythic Constructed like a week ago, and then I think I saw that he said he was going to only play if he lost his position. Yeah, but he was going to play the other. He's going to play limited or unranked instead.
Right.
While when he played, like when he streamed, because he got to like the #1 spot, and then it's like I think you're incentivized, like in the old Elo days, to just like not play until someone can get more points than you, and then maybe you have to like catch up.
Right.
But yeah, I'm curious to see like there's a minute cutoff. I've never been in.
I barely play constructed, and
Sure.
so this has never been relevant to me, and I just like playing. I don't really care about my.
What do you think of them inviting the top 8 of the constructed players? I guess this is for a constructed tournament, so that
Yeah.
kinda
Rather
answers that.
than limited.
Yeah, well, rather than like 4-4 split, maybe. I think just inviting the top 8 limited players to go play duo standard for millions of dollars or thousands of dollars seems a little silly. But I wonder
Yeah.
if like, I don't know, even doing a 4-4 split, just so like if you're a limited player, you get to participate in this grind as well. I don't know.
I don't know. I think it makes sense that they pick the standard players
Yeah.
or the constructed players for
Yeah,
it. Like,
I agree.
I can only imagine if you were the 5th ranked constructed player.
Sure.
And
Well, you
we're
just get
not
to
pick-
feel that way at 9th
Well,
instead, right? There's always that person.
Yes, but if
My friend Davey B says he's the 65th best Magic player in the world.
I don't know, that would feel worse to me if it was like,
Sure.
it's a constructed tournament, so we took 4 constructed players and 4 limited players.
Sure.
Right? But
We decided we wanted to watch them lose.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like, now you have to build 2 standard decks.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, which is like also kind of like, that's like I said at the beginning. That's also sort of what it feels like is going to happen, right? Like, I mean, again, this is an invitational. It's paying out very well. If they were like, hey, you're going to get at least $7,500 to get your ass whooped by Shahar Shanhar, I'd be like, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Sure, sign me up. What happens if I fluke out and beat him? I get even more money and then I lose to PVDVR? Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds great. So it's like,
If you beat him, you can lose to Huey. Get ready.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, let's stop talking about stuff we don't know.
Yeah.
I do know that I'm enjoying Ravnica Allegiance draft quite a bit.
Holy moly, yes.
I
Yeah,
found the sealed impossible.
I like
I
it.
couldn't figure out the sealed at all.
Oh, I like the
I
sealed.
was just getting crushed. But the draft, I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah. The Gruul is good.
Yep, Girl's good.
I mean,
The bots don't take Rhythm of the Wild very high.
I
think they're in the
yeah.
draft
Rhythm
yet.
of the Wild
Fools.
feels like this set's disinformation campaign.
Yes.
In
Yeah.
the fact that like you can
In a
pick
way
up,
that Dovin's Acuity does not feel like it.
yeah, but like it's weird. Like the Gruul deck can go like do nothing, play Rhythm of the Wild, play Rhythm of the Wild, play a 12/12, and
yeah.
not die.
Yeah.
Right? Actually, just kill you after doing that.
Yeah, like,
Right, like
2
the-
Rhythm of Wilds is really funny.
It's important to notice that Rhythm of the Wild has more text because, as I said in our internal Slack, so far the Graham throwing a counter spell into the graveyard, attempting to counter a creature during this format count is at 2 so far.
2 so far. I think that's how...
Mine's at 1. Mine's at
Here's
1.
wow, I think I haven't countered any. I'm at 0 still, but I've had my opponents try to counter my Rhythm of Wild creatures at least twice.
Yeah, I
haven't been counting it.
I've been like, oh, this is great. I can pass and hold up Frilled Mystic, and then and then they're like, cool, Rendhorn, and I'm like, haha, get you.
Well, sometimes
Why'd
slamming
the Rendhorn resolve?
Right. Sometimes slamming your
happened?
Frilled Mystic is still good.
Gonna fill out a Marine
Bug report, yeah.
None of the Rhythm says creature spells can't be countered.
Yeah, and it's not even like it's a second line of text.
It's the
It is
first line.
first line of text.
Yeah, it's true.
It's just like,
Well, it's a little tricky because Riot is 2 abilities, so you think you've read 2 abilities when you're just like, okay, it gives everyone Riot. This is great. That's either a +1/+1 counter or haste. And then you're like, oh yeah, it also has a 3rd line of text, which is secretly the 1st line. Yeah. Okay.
the double riot is very strong too.
Okay. So Gruul is good. I think Rakdos is bad.
Yeah, it pains me to say, but like unless it gets there hard.
Yeah. Basically, you need to
Right.
be like pushed real hard into Rakdos to want to draft Rakdos. Like you need the Fireblade artist needs to lap,
Yes.
and then you're like, oh, this Fireblade artist lapped. Maybe I can draft a Rakdos deck because if I'm getting all the uncommons for Rakdos, it's suddenly good again.
Skewer the Critics is pretty strong though.
I think this is where I disagree, and this is maybe the most important part. I think Skewer the Critics is only medium in this format. There's a bunch of adapt creatures or like flyers with 4 toughness,
Yep,
like Senate
that's fair.
Courier,
Yeah.
Archway Angel,
Yeah,
like the
I've-
Warrant token. That's a rare.
I've had a
but-
really hard time getting there with burn spells.
yeah. I've found Skewer the Critics to be like fine but not amazing in this format.
The card that continually impresses me is the I forget the name now. 4 mana, all your lands on tap. at
Oh,
the
really?
instep.
Wilderness Reclamation you found playable?
Yeah, in the
Really?
Simic decks.
Okay. How many
Oh,
adapt creatures do you tend to have?
As many as you can.
8?
Yeah.
Wow.
Cool. Okay. So
Yeah.
I've mostly I haven't put this in any of my decks, but my immediate impression in limited was just like, if you have 10 adapt creatures, this is probably okay, and otherwise it's garbage.
Yeah, like...
But yeah, that's sweet if you just have like mono adapt and a Wilderness Reclamation or 2.
You know what feels really good? Playing this and then holding up Frilled Mystic.
Sure, that's cool. But you only get that for 1 turn, and like,
well, yeah.
you can only get 1 or 2 Frilled Mystics, right?
But
Tops.
like dumping, like, there are...
That's good though. That's a good play.
That,
I'm saying that's good.
Yeah, it feels strong to also like have this on the table, play out a 5-drop, adapt creature, adapt it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it puts you way ahead of curve.
If you follow it up with 2 adapt creatures, it's good.
But yeah, frequently I also find that Simic just dies.
Or like Homunculus, this, adapt it. Not Homunculus, what's it called? Sorry. Aeromunculus, the 3 mana,
Yes.
adapts for 4.
Yeah.
Like that's great. You can be like, your curve can just be like nothing, or even if you have the Sauropod 2-drop. That guy's like one of the best commons. The 2 mana that turns into a 6/6.
Terramander.
Really good.
Or Terramander, yeah. So maybe you get an adapt creature in the first 2 turns, and then turn 3 you get that like really good on curve 2/3 flyer adapter.
The Sauroform hybrid.
Sauroform.
That's the 2 mana one.
From hybrids, yeah, that's one of my favorites. And then on turn 4, if you have Wilderness Reclamation, and then you're holding up either a +1/+1 counter or a Mystic Snake, like that's great. So kudos if you're drafting those decks. My opponents have been playing them, and I'm like, I don't think that's okay. And sure enough, it's like a blank. Right?
Yeah, like I think sometimes Gruul just holds your throat down and like rains blows upon you.
Yeah, like it doesn't affect the board, and like if it doesn't also make mana, like, and it's like maybe they didn't adapt, and then they had a kill spell 1 turn. But it's like if you only ever do one thing with it, you got to consider that you put that 4 mana into it the first time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ethereal Absolution continues to be
Yeah.
a bomb, obviously.
I think that's the best card in the format still.
And what I love about it now is that it's what's the word I'm looking for? The knowledge of it, reputation precedes itself.
Oh, people are just scooping what's on the stack? Or
Yeah, I've had multiple games where I've just been like Ethereal Absolution, and my opponent just concedes.
Yep.
And it's like,
I got better things to do than deal with this Election.
I guess, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, well, like a Zealous Persecution forever.
yeah.
It's a really shitty
I
card to
have-
grind against.
I have beaten it.
Yeah,
It's
you can.
possible.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, I get it. But
If we,
yeah.
yeah, in your best of 1 sealeds, I think maining your disenchants is fine. There's a bunch of good enchantments in this format. Hey?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Like more than any format I can remember recently.
IGI,
Yeah.
the Ill-Gotten Inheritance is...
And then there's Rhythm we talked about. There's
the
the
most-
Flashism. There's the 3 mana pacifism in Azorius
That's very
that has,
good too.
That has Flash.
What's
yeah.
the most Ill-Gotten Inheritances you've run in a deck?
Well, I've run 2, but this card continues. So last time we talked about it limited on the podcast, I was like, Ill-Gotten Inheritance is one of these cards that I always lose to, whether it's in my deck or my opponent's.
Yes,
Like I never
yeah.
win when I'm playing it, and I always lose to it when my opponent's playing it. So in the last week, I stopped playing it. So I haven't been playing Ill-Gotten Inheritance at all for like the last 7 days, and I've still died to it. But I've been trying to take notes about like when exactly it's good. So it's basically, I think it's either good in quite aggressive decks and quite grindy slow decks. So if I'm like usually playing some sort of middle of the road deck, it's like the problem with Ill-Gotten Inheritance is that it isn't the power of a 4-drop that I want, right? Like its inclusion in your deck needs to be sort of this like tossed in for flavor, squirt of Tabasco sauce into the deck,
Right.
as opposed to like, it's not like a slice of potato, right? Like it's not a 4-mana 4/4 that can only be blocked by
Right,
creatures
like
with power 3 greater. Right?
if this is your 4-drop and your opponent's 4-drop is the Gruul CCDD.
Yeah,
Right, like
it's
that feels
5/5.
bad.
That's horrible. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's going to blow this up. Yeah, I think I had that one game actually.
Oh, yeah.
where I was the Gruul guy. Yeah.
But funnily enough, this reminds me a lot of with 2019 core being the ranked right now. I've been playing that again, and the Neonate, the 1 black drop.
Oh yeah, that guy's great.
Ugh, I hate that card so much.
Do you lose to it when you play it though? Because that card just seems like it's kind of like this card.
No,
I've
I
All
win
upside.
with it. I play
Yeah,
with
yeah.
it. I win with it. I win with
Because
it. I
that
lose
card,
with it.
that
And
card
it's
actually
just
plays
like,
defense better than this card, right?
oh, absolutely. It's an O3.
Yeah, it's a wall of wood. Yeah, exactly. And it's a
just like,
vampire. Does that matter in the set? I forget. No, it's zombies.
I've played this card and I really enjoyed it when I played with it.
Yep.
And then I've just started to hate it more and
really?
more
Yeah.
and more because
I've only
it's
played-
just like this play style that sucks.
I've only played one of these. See, I loved that.
Well, I like that there's the
life
other
game deck.
common that you can combo with
Epicure
it.
of Blood.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then you're like twoing them a turn.
And then there's also the uncommon black-white vampire that makes
Yeah.
bats.
Regal
But like,
Bloodlord, yeah.
yeah, these drain cards are just like, I hate myself.
But
I hate the person.
You're right,
playing
though. This card's better. Ill-Gotten Inheritance is a much more balanced version of this effect.
Well, also, Ill-Gotten Inheritance doesn't just prolong a losing game or grind out a game. It has that activated ability that ends the game.
You can actually close the game out.
Finally.
Yeah.
Please.
I had a game of M19. I was like, oh, I got all this gold built up. I'll do one, and I just went in there and basically forced the white-black life game deck, and I ended up sort of stabilized at between 1 and 5 life, because it fluctuated wildly, right? For turns and turns and turns, because they would be like, none of my creatures could kill their creatures. So they were like, I attack you with everything, and I'd be like, make a bunch of blocks where my creatures live, put this bat token underneath, do this, maybe double block something so that it actually dies, and then like neonate, gain some life, take some hits, end of the turn, my Bloodlord makes a bat, the bat comes into play, Johnny's presence gains me a life,
lose a
untap.
life,
It's just like,
I can't even look at you right now.
it's just, this game, all the opponents I have played on Arena would have scooped. It took me like 20 minutes from the point at which I should have conceded to when I won that game. So I consider that a victory, in that it is actually a victory, but also a moral victory.
I consider that a victory in that. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
But that deck is ridiculous.
So actually, I prefer Ill-Gotten Inheritance to the Vampire Neonate.
That's
is
fair.
the TLDR because it does have that kill you clause.
I think you should probably run 2 if you have 2. I don't think you should run more than 3. James lost to a deck that ran 4.
Well, like if it's all you're running, I knew it was just 4 from him telling me about
Yeah.
it. But then when I was at Yellow Jacket last night playing in a draft, I was like, yeah, my friend James lost to a deck that was just Swamps and Ill-Gotten Inheritances, right? And so if you have the option to do that, maybe try it out and let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
Just like Root Snare, Ill-Gotten Inheritance, Forest,
God.
Swamp.
Yeah,
the
just
deck.
like the Turbo Fog.
Fog?
I don't know. I don't know.
Now I want to try this.
How many can you get, right?
I'm gonna wait till
Play some
the
cycling
smell.
bullshit.
I'm gonna wait till RNA comes out on the quick draft so I can spend my gold on this one.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have announcements about anything else?
No,
As we head towards the 1 hour mark.
yeah, we're going to wrap up basically now, but as you are hearing this, you will have already seen, hopefully, the 2018 Highliner Championships that we broadcast this past Saturday on the Twitch channel. If you haven't seen it, I know it's going to be, I have a premonition that it'll be powerful magic and excellent gameplay, so you should check out what will now be the VOD on Twitch, or on youtube.com/loadingreadylive. Assuming that it's up by now, there'll be a link in the description, and if it isn't, then it will be shortly. So take a look in the description, there'll probably be a link for it there. And apart from the fact that we will be, speaking of Boston and PAX East and the Mythic Invitational, that we will be at PAX East, and the week prior we'll be at C2E2 in Chicago if you want to come say hi. But that's all I can think of. Oh, right, that thing. That's an important thing. Thank you, Cameron.
I was trying to say
so-
it without saying it in case we weren't going to talk about
Ravnica
the
Allegiance
nickname.
Nicknames podcast is coming up. But
Yes.
we are soliciting your assistance with it. And in order to do that more efficiently this time, we have created our very own subreddit over at TTC nicknames.
TTC
so that it is
or lrr.cc/RNA.
Yes, so you can go there. We have a post for each card in the set, and you can submit your nicknames. And presumably, are we using the upvote, downvote mechanic on the nicknames, but not the cards?
Yeah, so we can't stop you, but we can at least ask, please don't upvote or downvote the actual cards.
Yeah.
That's not helpful.
Paul has populated the whole subreddit with every card. So that
Thanks,
there's
Paul.
thank you, Paul. So those are the places where your nicknames go. So make a if you have a nickname, make a comment on the card, put your nickname in. Top line comment, like top level comment. If you want to banter about people's nicknames, you can reply to those comments. But if you don't have nicknames, go there, check out the nicknames, and upvote them. And that way, the ones that rise to the top of each card will be the ones in the highest contention to show up on the Nickname podcast, because the big problem last time that we talked about was that there were just, we were like,
So many.
we were like, we can't think of them, like we can't do them all. At one point it was me, and that was a mistake. So I can't just do them all. Then it became we can't just do them all, and then so we asked
And
you.
we all helped out.
And too many of you had too many good suggestions, and then we all had to go through this spreadsheet and read every single one of them and pick them, and that wasn't practical either. So now we're not only are we crowdfunding the suggestions, but the admin as well, because otherwise it won't happen.
And you know what? This is kind of great, because it's like if we made that spreadsheet for all the Guilds of Ravnica potential nicknames public, right? So it's like you get the opportunity to look at what everyone's nickname suggestions were, as well as find out who the favorites are.
Yeah, read the entire post so you aren't submitting the same nickname twice, right?
If you think of the same thing as somebody else, upvote theirs.
Yep. And yeah, you'll notice that we have chosen the subreddit TTC nicknames rather than RNA nicknames.
Because if it works, well, you do it this way again.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Head on over to Reddit. Make an account. It's not a bad website.
So, Aspects Editor.
Yeah, problematic.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bad website. But make an account anyway. We're there.
There are parts of it that are nice, and this will be one of those parts. So check out.
I like r/mechanical head pens.
I'm a big fan of r/shitty robots.
Oh, they're so sad. I can't watch them.
I like crappy design.
Yep.
It's cathartic.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Anyway, so check that out, r/TTC's nicknames or lrr.cc/RNA. We would love to hear your suggestions, and then we will be telling you all basically the best ones in a future episode. Let's hope this one works. Thanks, everybody.
Sooner than last time.
For joining us on Tap Tap Concede. A reminder that cardkingdom.com/LRR is the place to go for the people that bring you this podcast. Thank you, Card Kingdom. And everything that we do is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. Until next time, I have been Graham.
I have been Cameron.
And I continue to be Nelson.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.